so excited about Hunter that I forgot something. But I just want to say, we get these questions of, well, you've got this airy-fairy school, and that's all well and good, but do they learn anything? And so I'm just so jazzed about this. We got STEM, and we got Duke, so the answer would be yes. Are you ready to be free? Yes. Take a deep breath, and we'll do our treatment for freedom together aloud. I speak my word for myself, my center, and all its members and friends. I know love as the only reality. I am created out of love. Love is what I am. I know this love as absolute freedom in every area of my life, the life of my center, and all who call it home. I know our center's mortgages are paid in full, and I claim for all of us financial freedom with all debts paid and cleared. I release any sense of struggle or wrongdoing. I live in an abundant universe where there is more than enough for all. We experience freedom in every moment by always having more than enough money, vibrant health, and loving relationships. We are who we have come here to be. With hearts open wide, we see the world through the eyes of love. We are blessed, we are rich, and we are free. And so it is. And we do this by using our points of power. I always pay attention. I always tell the truth and tell it quickly. I always ask for what I want when I want it. I always take total responsibility for my experience, and I always keep my agreements. And so it is. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Reverend Dr. John Waterhouse.
Thanks, Barbara. And thank you, Mark.
Yes.
And Pat back there for finding those slides and getting them back up for us. Yay! Oh, goodness. So, we have a thing that happens here at the center where men come together on a weeknight, Thursday night, and once a month, and we kind of open up. And I don't know, have we ever had an agreement of confidentiality in that? We probably should, because men share their hearts. Men are so much more honest when there's no women around. And I don't mean that men go around lying. It's that we really do kind of look at ourselves more clearly when there's nothing to defend, just to be with one another. So we came together last Thursday night, and one of the things that really touched me was that more than half of the guys there talked about growing up Southern Baptist. I grew up Southern Baptist. I commented on it when it was my turn that so many men had mentioned that. And I want you to know that I'm doing a pretty good job of healing that. God is in the Baptist church. And the good folks over at the Baptist church may have a different understanding of the divine than we do, but they're doing exactly what they need to be doing. And I honor them for their spiritual path. That's the best thing I've ever said about that. So growing up Southern Baptist, I was re-stimulated, of course, in this meeting, and I was kind of remembering that we went to a lot of different Baptist churches when I was growing up. Usually because the minister said something my mother disagreed with. And off we'd go to another Baptist church. Except this one time. And it was when I was between the 3rd and the 4th grade. And it was a thing called Vacation Bible School. Breathe. And during Vacation Bible School, at the end of the week, or it's 1 or 2 weeks, I don't remember, but at the end of it, you have some kind of an assembly, and all the parents come and they sit in the audience, and each one of the age groups comes up and does something, usually a song or a recital of some sort. And we practiced before that night, probably that day, and the day before, we went into the sanctuary of the Baptist church, and the way, they're not that wide, but they're very long, the sanctuaries and Baptist churches, and pretty much the whole front is the stage, and you come off a little, looks like you're coming out of a closet on the side, and come on the stage, and so we practiced, and we went all the way across the stage, all the children in that age group, and I was somewhere in the middle, and I remember, I didn't remember then, but I remembered afterwards that the teacher said to us, now, I know, how many of you are coming to the assembly? And a number of children did not raise their hands, so we were in a situation where we wasn't going to fill the stage. And she said, whoever's first that night, remember, don't go all the way across the stage, because we're not going to fill the stage. And we all agreed, and I thought, doesn't matter to me, I'm not going to be first. So that night, I was first in line, and it was time for us to go on stage, and I walked out and marched across the stage all the way to the other side, and stood there, and people started laughing. I didn't understand why. And then I looked, and all my classmates were over there. And I said, oh crap. So that's why we left that Baptist church. And I tell you that story because I believe that in the beginning of our lives, unless you happen to be growing up in this kind of a place, that we grow up under a state of grace. And that grace is that we can blame everything on someone else. Because life is happening to us. And so we sort of think that we're the innocent and that everyone else is the one that's messing things up. And that we got blamed for things that we shouldn't have. And really somebody should have told me that night that that was the case. But they didn't. So I believe that what happens is we grow up having that sense that we're really not in charge of our lives, that life is kind of happening to us and we're hanging on for dear life, and that under that understanding of life, we stay in that lost state of not having any real control. Now, of course, in the Baptist church, they have this thing called salvation. But when you come to a place like this, you sort of realize that we don't need to be saved from anything. We just need to wake up to our divine nature. And that when we wake up, we realize that we're really in the driver's seat. We're really the ones creating our lives. So we can move beyond that idea that something else can save us. That we are eternal beings. We are infinite beings that are traveling through the cosmos one lifetime at a time. And right now we're on planet Earth. And isn't it wonderful? And when we recognize that, the worst of our problems just don't seem like much. And it gives us a chance to reflect on the fact that we are divine beings of love and light, and that even through the hard times, the presence of the divine is always there, always present within us and all around us, and that we don't need any kind of grace to protect us from the true reality of life. And what a better way to live life than to have to rely on some invisible force that we can't control. So I invite us to all live much more in that state of knowing, of awareness, of understanding who we are, rather than thinking something outside of us is going to take us somewhere. So, Thanksgiving is on Thursday. We're going to have a wonderful time here, and whether you're here with us or not, I wish you a happy Thanksgiving. And as you can imagine, it's kind of obligatory that we talk about gratitude on the Sunday before Thanksgiving. But I want to give it a little bit of a different tilt this time. I don't want to go right into the value of being grateful, because I do believe that gratitude is an incredibly valuable way of living your life, that you can accomplish wonderful things. And Barbara and I, through our work this summer, are still doing our CSO meetings virtually every day. And in those letters, we write statements of gratitude over and over and over and over again. And they're powerful, and they really do help us focus and know that what we're grateful for, we're creating in our lives. But I have discovered along the way that there's another element that really adds to this idea of creating the life that we want. And gratitude is key to it. But there's another element, and it's the word in the middle of the title of my talk: generosity. I truly believe that when we demonstrate and practice the spiritual practice of being generous, that we are taking action on being in the flow of spirit, on things coming into our lives because we are generous with our time and our energy and our talents and our money in life. And when we are, we create that natural flow of life. And that by doing that, we have an abundant, prosperous life. Now, some people say, well, generous people, they're generous because they have so much. Or is it that they have so much because they're generous? Now, that doesn't mean everybody that has stuff is generous. I've known people that are very, very, very stiff with what they have. And they have plenty. But you know what? I don't see them enjoying it. I see them spending all their time trying to figure out how to keep it and how to get more of it. And if that's the nature of who we are, if that's the essence of who we are, that sounds like a miserable existence. And there's something lovely about being in the dynamic flow of spirit and having things show up. And the thing that I want to share with you today is a story that just came to me 2 days ago and just kind of was such a clear demonstration of what I'm talking about. So I think you'll get it. You know that I'm working with Brian Byron, that he's coaching me into this public speaking arena. And he's one of the most generous people I've ever known with his time and his talents and his abilities. And he has very strict standards on how he does his work. One thing that's really important to him is not to give his work away unless he chooses to. Now, when he has come here and done his board-breaking exercises with us, and how many of you have done board-breaking with Brian? So you guys with your hands up know what that's like, how amazing that is. He has a personal standard not to do that for less than a certain amount of money every time he does it. And I think that's healthy, and that means he knows how to say no when it doesn't work. He's done it here as his gift to us. He has not charged us a penny. But I asked him if many years ago if he would come to California, to Asilomar, and do this with, I don't know, maybe 500 people at Asilomar. And he said, I can only do that if you can pay me. And I asked him, will you want to pay him? And they said, we don't have that much in the budget. But Brian, we don't have that much in the budget. Then I can't do it. But you could. And he taught me how to do it. And I went out there and led a board breaking of 500 people. It was one of the most exhilarating experiences of my life. I absolutely loved it. And the people that had breakthroughs that day, it was just phenomenal. And I'm so grateful to him for giving that to me. But again, if you can't pay the fee, I can't do the work. And I love that about him. I think that's really a very powerful thing that he does. Well, recently he broke his own rule. He received a request to come to Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Yummy. And do a 2-day event. And the company that was inviting him wasn't paying his minimum. He said, though, when he told me this story, he said, the one that was doing the inviting, the one that was in charge of getting me there, was so enthusiastic, so excited, so pumped about me being there. I couldn't figure out how to tell him no. So he didn't. He didn't tell him no. But in going there, he had to really watch the cost of his expenses, his airfare, his room arrangements, his car rental, whatever he had expense-wise. He had to really be careful not to make it to where he was paying to go do this work. It was that tight. But he did. He went and did it. He went and did a lovely 2-day event. A lot of people had breakthroughs. He said it was what he does, and he did it well. At the end of the second day, a woman came up to him. She introduced himself. And when she said his name, Brian recognized it. She is the executive vice president of a big banking firm in Sioux Falls. In fact, the largest banking operation in the Dakotas. And for the last 20 years, one of Brian's booking agents has been working every year to get Brian to be the one who facilitates their big annual event. And every year, for 20 years, this woman has said no. But she came to this other event. And she came up to Brian and said, you know who I am? He said, yeah, I know who you are. He said, well, I'm glad that I was able to come and be here today, because you're the real deal. And in 2016, you will do our event. Yay! Now, let me explain that this is not a lightweight thing. It's a 3-day event that they do. They pay really well. And he will have that and another 2-day event that he'll do while he's in Sioux Falls. And he says that will cover his income for the month they do it in one 5-day period. That's how impressive this is and how important this is and how he's wanted to do this for 20 years. But what had changed that allowed that to happen? It was his willingness to go do that event for next to nothing that created the opportunity for him to have a major client. Wow. And he said to me, I had no idea that anything like that would happen. That's not why I was there. I was there because the guy was so enthusiastic and I really just wanted to support him. That's being generous. That's not doing it because you're going to get something. You know, I think sometimes a lot of certainly it happens in my life where I'm thinking, what do I have to do to get this? What do I have to have in my consciousness to get this? The getting part of life happens. It happens for us if we're in a state of being in the flow. It's not about tricking the universe. It's not about trying to manipulate life so that we get what we want. It's about being authentic. It's about being generous. It's about giving ourselves no matter what. Now, I'm not telling us not to have standards and not to have ways to make things done. And Brian does that because there are plenty of booking agents that will try to get you to work for next to nothing so they keep the rest of the money. That's a smart thing to not let that happen. At the same time, there are times in life where we need to be so intuitive and know that what we're bringing to life really is making a difference. All of us get up on Sunday morning and we come to this place. And I really believe that when we come here, we leave clearer, more open-hearted, and more understanding of who we are in the world than when we walked in the door. You know, some of us travel long distances to get here. You know, Michael right there moved from Massachusetts to be in this room, waiting to get that house sold so his wife can move down here with him. I mean, that kind of thing is extraordinary to me. And that's because we know that we've got something here. And a lot of people, way more people than are in this room, are watching the video of this on YouTube and getting something to make their life work. Or somebody like Joe Healy is going onto our website every day and watching classes and Sunday talks. He's working backwards to make sure that he sees everything. He actually, I don't know if I'm breaking a confidence here, but in the men's thing, he looked at Rick Sherrill and said, tell him the story about your ring. You know, the one you told in class 2 years ago. He's only been here a couple of months. You know, that kind of thing is our hunger for understanding so that we can use what we're learning here together and what we're practicing here together. Let's not underestimate the value of generosity. And now's where I'm going to push your buttons. Because virtually everybody in the room here, unless you're very new to us and haven't given us a mailing address, is receiving a letter from us saying, support us. Tell us what you can support us with in the coming year. And it's real easy to take that letter and go, nah, put it in the trash. I'll just keep going. I'll put something in the basket when I get there. I want to ask you to step up. Not from me. It's not, you know, I don't make any money here. I'm a volunteer. I tithe 10% of everything that I make with my job in Denver to this community. And I'm asking you to look at what you can do. A lot of you didn't, many of you were at our dinner the other night. We had a lovely dinner and the support was beautiful. And there are others of you that have not yet made any kind of a commitment. And I'll ask you to give it a go. Be generous and see what it does in your life. Don't be generous because of what you're going to get. Be generous because that is a spiritual act. And if you can't do it here, find somewhere where you can be generous and do something without trying to calculate how much you're going to get back. To really step up in your life and use this concept of generosity to make your life better. It's working for me. We do that treatment for freedom every morning, Barbara and I. She's got it memorized. I actually sat on this stage this morning, and we were doing treatment work. And I started, then she went, and then she went into that treatment that she wrote. And I realized I had nothing to read. And I actually did it. So I guess it is in me. I still got a little angst about that, because I could have come up here and done that with you, but I would have probably had to look this way to get it done. So Barbara came up. But honestly, it's starting to have an effect on me. It's really getting into me. And I think part of that idea of freedom is the freedom to be generous. And it's really working in my life. And I want it to work in your life. I want us all to be free, to be who we've come here to be and to do what we've come to do. And I invite you to make generosity part of that spiritual practice. It's making a difference in my life. So, we no longer need to be in a state of grace. We know who we are. We can be generous. And as a result of being generous, we can be grateful. Brian told me, he said after that happened, I said, so were you grateful? He said, oh my God. It was like one of those moments in life. I was so grateful. But he didn't have to go find something to be grateful for. It was in his face because he was generous. I invite you to find your way with that. And let this community that loves you so much receive yours as well in like kind. This is our path. We're finding our way. Thank you for being on that journey with me. I love you so much. Thank you.